Inside and live stream. That was Win Stark, and his song is Who I Am, and I heard him for the very first time on America's Got Talent this week. And he was talking about how he lost his twin brother, and so he wrote the song for him. Any AGT fans in here? Am I the only one?
I'm on TV right now.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. And whether you are in person or we are online, we get to come together to remember who and what we really are. We come together to know that there is only one power, one presence, and whether we call it God, Buddha, Allah, Christ, or Mother Nature, it is everywhere present in all of us, all the time. And we're here to awaken to that. So this morning we continue the July theme of deepening relationships with the topic, the me in we. And we are exploring an annual theme of everyday wonder. So if you are online and want to know more about us, check us out on cslmorristown.org, our website, where there's all kinds of events. Some of you know, because you already signed up, that there's a new class coming up that's going to start not this week, but the week after. 2 options, Thursday mornings or Tuesday nights. And a free introduction class in case you want to know more about it this Thursday at 7 p.m. and it's all on the flyer that we have posted everywhere and that we're handing out today. So the class is called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, and it's a brand new class, only 5 weeks and on Zoom. So I hope you'll join us. And then of course we have all our platforms where we can meet one another, Meetup, Twitter, Facebook, what else? Instagram. YouTube. And the beautiful Monica, who always makes that happen so perfectly when we edit our videos, right? So I left my whole cheat sheet in my office, so maybe Gail, you can grab it out of the copier. My memory is getting much better. So let's start with our Namaste practice, and then we will do an opening spiritual mind treatment. So place your hands together. Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So go ahead and bow to somebody. Say Namaste.
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 Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Namaste. And just so you know that with the topic today, the exploration really is started off with a very powerful poem. And that poem reminds us that no matter how much pain there is in the world or in us, we must always look to the blessings and be in service with that awareness. So the question then is, what is mine to do? Knowing that we each are unique individualizations of the one, it's a unique gift for each and every one of us. And in a little bit, you're going to meet somebody who has found her gift and talent in service to the world, and it's really quite beautiful. So let's do an opening treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. I invite you to close your eyes. And if you're comfortable and want to, you can put your hand on your heart. Sometimes that helps us to turn to the heart and feel the connection with the heart of the universe, the heart of God. And so right here, right now, I celebrate this moment. Whether it's a moment, the moment of our lives, or the moment of the world history, or the moment of our connection to others, ourselves, or to spirit, it is ever the richest moment because it is the present moment. So today we open our minds and our hearts to the experience at hand, trusting that we are ever evolving from the place of oneness in discovering our own vision, our own mission, our own purpose. And that's not necessarily for the rest of our lives. It can just be today or tomorrow. but it's the process of discovery in the moment that we find our lives are more blessed and therefore the lives of others. So with awe and gratitude then, we surrender to it. We allow Spirit to have its way with us in the discovery of who we are, whose we are, and what is ours to do. And so it is.
And so it is.
So Table of Hope is an amazing organization in Morristown that serves many people in the community that are in need. And when we sold our building, we decided to practice conscious committed giving, which is what we call where we give a percentage of the good back to the community. And so we've given to community in crisis, we've given to the local emergency squad, and today we get to give to Morristown's Table of Hope. So, Michelle, would you come up, please? Michelle Oswald represents the Table of Hope today, and we have a check for $2,000 for them. And so we're very excited to share our good, and we'd love for you to share a little bit about what you do and what Table of Hope is about.
Thank you so much.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us here today. I am Michelle Oswald. I'm the program director at Spring Street Community Development Corporation, which operates Table of Hope. We are based in Morristown, and our organization was founded in 2011 in order to address the economic, educational, and social needs of our community. We serve all of Morris County. We have several dynamic programs. We started off with SOAR, which is Student Outreach and Academic Reinforcement. That's our tutoring program. We're currently operating a summer camp for children. I have about 10 campers who'll be joining us tomorrow, and we're doing things like going on hikes, and they get tutoring in the afternoon. I've been doing some things with them in the kitchen, which I personally love because that's my background. We also have the New Life Recovery and Reentry Program, which helps people with addictions. We recently launched a senior program where we go to the Morristown Housing Authority and do bingo, senior tech club, and things like that, and that's really been very well received, especially after COVID. So many seniors were isolated, unfortunately. We also have Healthy Women and Healthy Families, which help pregnant and post-pregnant moms and families accessing services that they need. And then, of course, Table of Hope, which is our most recognized program. We operate a food pantry where in Morristown alone we'll give out groceries to about 500 families in 1 hour on a Thursday.
Wow.
At that one, we have a group of, we have 2 service areas. So one is for people that actually walk to get their groceries, and another one is like a drive-through. One of the most poignant things when I first started this journey of working at Spring Street and Table of Hope was never been to a food pantry before, and I was just sort of observing everything, and I would watch, the young moms and, groups of moms come up, kids in the stroller. They get their number called to get their groceries, baby comes out of the stroller, food goes in, and they walk home. And that's kind of stuck with me this whole time because I felt like here they are just trying to get groceries and this is what they have to do. And it just resonated with me on a level that I'm sure you can all understand. The other part of Table of Hope is our community soup kitchen, which is really how I started. I have a culinary background and they needed a cook. So I was like, I could go cook there, and it was certainly interesting. And so I still manage that as part of my job as program director. So we'll service about 40,000 families in a year with the groceries, because we also go to Parsippany and Dover. And out of the soup kitchen, we'll serve over 20,000 meals in a year. So, and that number isn't really decreasing. So this is an amazing gift, and we greatly appreciate your support and being invited here today. I have my little daughter Charlotte with me, who was very excited to come, so thank you so much.
Can I take one picture of the 2 of you guys? I didn't have it at the beginning.
Yes.
And I have a flyer over there that explains all of our programs and a QR code to volunteer if you're interested in it, so thank you.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
Sure, thank you. Yes, these flyers, in case you say, you know what, I really would love to volunteer in Morristown. Reverend Sidney gave me a tour and shared all that work, and your memory is amazing, by the way. And I was just so moved by that. Sometimes we live in a bubble, right? We forget that there's a lot of people in need, and that's a wonderful organization. So grab this flyer. It's got lots of information, and it's got QR codes in case you want to serve and or give. All right. So we have a little bit of music, and the invitation is to sing, to get up and dance, or ass dancing is okay.
I am in the Lord.
It's like a meditation, that song, isn't it? So the me and we, I want to start by reading a poem by the beautiful young wordsmith, and as she calls herself, changemaker, Amanda Gorman, who so beautifully became the youngest inaugural poet in the United States history. And this poem goes like this. Everything hurts. Our hearts shadowed and strange, minds made muddled and mute. We carry tragedy, terrifying and true, and yet none of it is new. We knew it as home, as horror, as heritage. Even our children cannot be children, cannot be. Everything hurts. It's a hard time to be alive. And even harder to stay that way. We're burdened to live out these days, while at the same time blessed to outlive them. This alarm is how we know we must be altered, that we must differ or die, that we must triumph or try. Thus, while hate cannot be terminated, it can be transformed into a love that lets us live. May we not just grieve, but give. May we not just ache, but act. May our signed right to bear arms never blind our sight from shared harm. May we choose our children over chaos. May another innocent never be lost. Maybe everything hurts. Our hearts shadowed and strange, but only when everything hurts may everything change. So I think what this poem reminds us of is to not hide, to not deny the suffering of the world, to not practice as we call spiritual bypass, which means not feeling what we're really feeling and denying it with our affirmations. And that can be a very fine line, right? And so the idea is to remember that in this human experience, we are experiencing both ends. It cannot be any other way. It is in the essence of our being that we know truth resides. And so we keep turning from what we see and the suffering to the inner truth of God within, and how to experience that, how to live that, how to express that, how to give that away in the we that we are part of in the moment, and not 100 years ago or 200 years from now. So it requires that we listen and pay attention to the needs at hand, whether it's hunger or poverty or discrimination or environmental death. Whatever it is that tugs at our heart is really the calling of spirit within us to be part of the change, to be of service to a greater idea. And I know how easy it can be to say, oh, it's just too much, I can't do anything. That's just showing us the place of stuckness that wants to be softened, understood, and then lived from that healthy place. And so what we learn is that we are part of a greater whole, and it's not separate from who and what each of us are. And so some of you are obviously already of service. I mean, Michelle, what you're doing is just a huge gift to not just a small pocket of Morris County, but the world, right? And so some of you are already serving in that way. Some of you are thinking about it. Some of you are overwhelmed. Some of you are afraid. Some of you are in and out. It's a little bit different for all of us, right? One of the things that I love more than anything, it seems, in service is I teach meditation in jail. And I have 4 groups now because they keep wanting more of me. And I am so aware that when I get off that Zoom call that I'm the one that's the most blessed. I don't know for sure, but I can feel that, right? Because when we give of ourselves and our gifts and talents, there is not a depletion. There is a filling up. There is a healing that happens. There's something greater that's taking place. So we are exploring this idea of, can we take what we feel burdened by and turn it into a blessing? And so in July, we've explored this deepening relationship where Gail explored this idea on July 3rd to love ourselves better. There's always room for that, right? And then last week, I talked about how it's all connected and it's all done with mirrors, because in metaphysics, we say we create through our own thinking, our own belief system, our experience. And so if we want to change the experience, we have to change our own thinking, right? And so today it's about saying, all right, so the world I live in may not be something that I like or care for, and there's too much going on that I just can't deal with, but I am here for a reason. And how can that become a blessing instead of more of a burden for me, and therefore more of a burden for the tribe, for the society, for the whole? And so that asks of us to listen. And sometimes people think that they have a specific purpose in life and they're asking the question all the time what it is, and then they die and they never fulfill that purpose. Because they either haven't heard it or they haven't listened. But that purpose can be right now. That purpose can happen when you're in New Jersey traffic and you're in a hurry and you're late for a meeting. What energy do you bring to that? Knowing doesn't stay in the car. It goes out, right? Energetically. Because it doesn't end where our skin ends. Or it may be happening at your job right now. Or it may be happening in your neighborhood right now, or in your community, or maybe this community. There's a calling that's happening every moment, and it requires us to listen every moment. That's why a part of my spiritual practice in the morning is, okay, God, what is mine to do today? And sometimes it happens at Trader Joe's. And sometimes it happens when I'm outside and my neighbor is playing music too loud, like last night for 6 hours. I gave them one chance. One evening in the summer, the next one, they're in trouble. Especially on a Saturday night. And so what that means is that we have to listen, right? We have to pay attention and say, well, then what's in the way? If it's not easy, or if it's not a blessing for me to share my talents and gifts, what's in the way? What do I really need? Maybe it means that there's a lifestyle change called for, a different way of thinking. Maybe it means moving into a different direction. Because what I see over and over again, when people are of service, especially in significant ways, if they burn out, they're either doing the wrong thing or they're doing it the wrong way. And I know about burnout. It's a long time ago, but it's not fun. And so that means that we have to keep listening, because when we give from a full heart, that giving is multiplied abundantly and is then returned to us and gives us energy like food does. So you and I get to notice how and where we other, which is now a verb. Right? Where and how do we other? When do we point fingers? And this is just for you to think. You don't have to say it out loud. What are some of the things that you watch on the news and you roll your eyes or you start yelling and cursing? Right? Where do you place blame? Where do you complain the most? Where do you struggle the most? Where does your heart ache the most? Amanda Gorman says, may we not just grieve, but give. May we not just ache, but act. When there's something that's really stirring on us about something, it's because our soul, our spirit is saying, this is not just your place to heal, but this is also your place to give. This is where you are to serve. So we can look at people going hungry and go shopping and not think about it. Or we can say, let me make a difference. You know, if racism hurts your heart, there are many organizations in our community that are in service to healing that ism. If your heart breaks because you notice that those of different gender or different sexual orientation are suffering, maybe that's a place where you have something to give. If the climate is tugging at your heart, because now we're experiencing ecocide, also a new word, omnicide, also a new word, then ask, what is mine to do? Might be as tiny a thing as not using plastic. At least not buying those stupid little bottles. I have such a pet peeve around that. First of all, I always say that water is more poison than your tap water. You might have it tested. Second of all, it is never biodegrading, ever. And there's a big, huge place in the ocean where mostly our trash floats around, right? And so these might be things, as you can tell, that are things that you're passionate about, right? And so the poem says that we are blessed to outlive them, which means that we are called to live the blessing, to give of ourselves, to remember that we are evolved beings. And when we say, well, this person or that group is not as evolved as I am, that's because we are called to look at it in a different way, to heal the practice of othering, and to then be of service in a new way. And maybe that only lasts for a day, maybe a week, maybe a lifetime. And so pay attention to where your heart aches. Pay attention to what causes you grief. Pay attention to what stirs you up the most, disturbs you the most, because that's where we are being called to give from the consciousness that we have already evolved. Would you say that you've all grown a little bit, a lot, maybe in the middle? That is there so that it can be shared with the world, because nobody else has grown like you have. And so that added to it, to who we are and what we are, gets to be shared in ways that nobody else can share. And the beauty is that when we share it, it multiplies, it expands in a way that we may never know. And so that is what it means to be on a spiritual path. There was a time in my life where spirituality was like a hobby. You know, it was entertainment. It was nice to get another book, do another workshop. But, you know, they have to change, not me. It wasn't a conscious thought, right? Now we know that spirituality, metaphysics, which is what our teaching is about as within, so without. And so what we give becomes this. And so that's why we hold a higher vision. That's why we do prayer and affirmations and take classes and meditate, so that our higher vision is nourished instead of our complaint nudging us. It's the both end, really, right? We're nudged by our othering and our disturbances, and then we hold a vision for that greater idea, and we step into it by sharing our own personal gifts and talents. Pema Chodron, a very well-known Buddhist monk, I think it's her 90-something birthday this month. She said in the Science of Mind magazine this month, and if anybody still wants any, we still have a couple here. She says, a thoroughly good relationship with ourselves results in being still. Isn't that interesting? I too have noticed that the relationship with self, when it's good, that chatter isn't there. When all that chatter is there, it's because we're not in good relationship with ourselves. So a thoroughly good relationship with ourselves results in being still, which doesn't mean we don't run and jump and dance about. We don't overwork. We don't overeat. We don't oversmoke. And we don't over-seduce. In short, we begin to stop causing harm. I don't know anyone in my world that consciously and purposely causes harm. Do you? Most of us don't know people that purposely and consciously cause harm. And yet we witness it all the time. And so we get to say, in the stillness, we get to ask, how can I be more loving? How am I part of the harm that I see others practice, give, experience, receive? And how can I be the one that minimizes, limits the harm that I see in the world? What has to happen inside of me so that more love can be experienced by myself and by the world? And so I want to come back to the poem, and I want you to hear it in a different way. I want you to hear it from the inside out. Before, when I read it, you were listening to me reading the poem. But now I want you to just shift it a little bit like a kaleidoscope, and you hear it differently. Hear it as an awakening. Hear it as something that is wanting to be experienced in you, want to be awakened in you, wants to be seen and heard in a different way. Because one of the things I decided to do last night when the music was really loud was to say, wow, these people are having a party and all their friends and family are over and they're having such a good time. So I can extend my heart instead of be frustrated and angry. And it was a different experience for me. It was new. And I liked it. And you know what I noticed then? I want that playlist. Some of the music they were playing was very cool. It was mostly Latin music. Some of it was different. It was very cool. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like that.
You gotta go over and ask.
Yeah. That would be interesting, right? All right, so let me read the poem again, and I invite you to close your eyes and just hear it in a different way. See if anything becomes awake in you, if there's anything you hear inside your own heart, your own spirit. Everything hurts. Our hearts shadowed and strange. Minds made muddled and mute. We carry tragedy, terrifying and true, and yet none of it is new. We know it as home, as horror, as heritage. Even our children cannot be children, cannot be. Everything hurts. It's a hard time to be alive, and even harder to stay that way. We're burdened to live out these days, while at the same time blessed to outlive them. This alarm is how we know we must be altered, that we must differ or die, that we must triumph or try. Thus, while hate cannot be terminated, it can be transformed into a love that lets us live. May we not just grieve, but give. May we not just ache, but act. May our signed right to bear arms never blind our sight from shared harm. May we choose our children over chaos. May another innocent never be lost. Maybe everything hurts, our hearts shadowed and strange, but only when everything hurts, may everything change. So let's close with a healing treatment, our word for affirmative prayer. Closing your eyes, taking a breath, trusting that you're actually changed and altered right now, simply by being still and listening for that different ear, that different voice that is within us, ever witnessing us, and ever sharing its wisdom and love. And so this presence we call God, good, divine love, infinite wisdom. It is everywhere, in everything, everyone, all the time, whether we believe it or not. And so today we alter our belief and we remember that I am the we, and the we is the I am. That it's all deeply and gloriously connected. That the resilience and the strength and the courage of all of humanity becomes our vision for a world that works for everyone. And as we heal and let love heal whatever is in the way, we listen for that purpose in the moment or in life itself. We listen to our heart of hearts for what is ours to give, to do, to love, to participate in, knowing that the more we give, the more we receive. And so with awe and gratitude, we let this truth support us and guide us, feed us, nourish us, and heal us, not just now, but forevermore. And so it is.